determination and strength pulsating through me! Dragon Slayer's secret art! Flame Lotus exploding flame! Now to the depths of nothingness with you!
Welcome to episode 4 of the Fairy Tail series review. This has been a long time coming. I am surprised I've actually made it to this part. Usually all my reviews crash and burn. If it's as uninteresting as Soul Eater, I know what you're thinking. And this video has been one of my favorites to make, and probably will be my favorite coming out on the other side of this entire review series. Now I know what you're thinking. How can we outdo the prior arc? Is there a way to outdo this arc? Can we get there, or will this arc fall flat on its face? Today I hope to answer that question for you all. Hi, my name's Talon Talks. Let's dive into one of my top 3 favorite arcs of all time in Fairy Tail. The Oracion Seis arc. With Axis gone, things couldn't have gotten worse for Fairy Tail, or the Magic World, because now they face their strongest opponents, the big 3 of Dark Guilds, known as the Balam Alliance, the Oracion Seis Grimoire Heart, and finally, Tartarus. For a build-up and foreshadowing of what's to come, I really enjoy this. However, we need to focus on the Oracion Seis for this arc. To demonstrate how strong this Dark Guild is, they need not just one to match the power, but a full 4 guilds, or the members that they sent, to be equal to this single Dark Guild of 6 like-minded individuals. But at the meeting area, property of Blue Pegasus, we meet the team members themselves. Representing Fairy Tail, obviously, Team Natsu, consisting of Natsu, Urza, Lucy, and Gray, and Pappy if you can even count them. Representing Lamia Scale, we have Jura, a wizard saint like Makara, with Leon and Sherry tagging along. Representing Blue Pegasus, we have Eve, Hibiki, and Ren, with last but not least of this guild, Ichiya, the funniest character in the series. These all make a strong team already, each bringing a unique power to the table, but one guild is yet to show themselves, Kite Shelter. Representing them is just one person.
That's insane! We're supposed to be up against a powerful group here!
And everyone's panicking.
Crazy intense is this guy gonna be?
One person. That's all they sent. Just who exactly is joining them? Protect the child at all costs. This is Wendy Marvel, the Sky Dragon Slayer. However, she did not come alone.
Oh, Carla, you followed me here? Of course I did. You're far too young to be traveling unaccompanied, child.
Again, I don't count you as a person. These two are from Kite Shelter, and I actually really like this, mainly due to a small detail that is shown without Gajeel even being there. Notice that Natsu has Happy and Wendy has Carla, but Gajeel doesn't have a cat. The reason this is done is explicitly to display friendship and what it gets you in this world. Gajeel was born into the Phantom Lord's Guild, but has no cat, but these two do, and time after time, they are displayed to care about others. Not really connected to this video at heart, but it's a small detail that I like. And again, I love small details. Anywho's, we start the arc with all deciding that they need to stop the Oracion Seis from achieving their goal. And their goal is reviving Nirvana, an ancient magic. But once they leave, Jura goes in to check on Ichiya and both start talking. But Ichiya does something drastic. He attacks Jura, bringing him to the ground. And the truth is, this wasn't Jura. This was a celestial spirit from a woman known as Angel, the spirit itself being Gemini. They have officially made their first attack. Their second coming is much, much stronger.
Opening your mouth again.
Alright, let's split up and start searching for their temporary base.
I'm flying the bomber thing!
Not happening.
What's wrong with Christina?
Oh no!
They attack the rest of the guild union, picking them off one by one until they see her. Look at Wendy. Wendy is displayed as a few things. She's weak and immature. She's weak mentally and physically. But what I mean is that she's a crier. She's scared. She's weak-willed. She's the exact opposite of Natsu and what you'd expect from a Dragon Slayer up to this point. Because remember, the only Dragon Slayers we know up to this point are Natsu, Gajeel, and Loxus. But she has one thing. Instead of magic to burn enemies, cut enemies, or burn enemies but a little more festively, Wendy, has healing magic, but nothing she can attack with. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why would any guild send a person like Wendy to take on one of the strongest dark guilds of all time? One that is so strong that it made an alliance with 2 other dark guilds, with all 3 of them having other dark guilds to work under them. Outside of the fact that she's a plot point to accentuate Natsu's character, she also has a secret about her guild, one that not even she was aware of. But what is the best way to show that she is weak, and that she is scared, that she is not a warrior by any means? The answer would be reviving the one man she shouldn't, but also the one man who saved her when she was a lot younger. Jalal. This is something that makes everything feel fluid here. Wendy may not be obligated. That is to you. To her, this is the minimum requirement to repay her debt for what Jalal did for her. Jalal apparently gave her life. This here is her mental obligation, and it is also her moral flaw that doesn't feel like one due to how it's affecting her and what exactly this person did for her. You really can't get mad at her because he apparently helped her. This is the moral flaw in the Anatomy of Storytelling by John Truby. This is the part that affects others. Her moral flaw here is that she's weak-willed. Her mental obligation to fold like my coworker's knees that are working overtime to support his body weight. Shout out Fish Stick. This also plays in with her psychological flaw, which is her lack of confidence. She's mentally weak and physically weak, and she knows it. The fact that she is weak-willed and small, and everything turns her into this sad creature that can't do much. She allows her moral flaw to consume her and make her weak. It makes her a cornerstone to this art, and it plays directly into the ancient magic the Oracion Seis are after, which works because they kidnapped her and dragged her into their lair for one purpose: to revive Jalal. But why do these people come into contact with Jalal? Well, obviously because Jalal knows where Nirvana is. Well, not entirely. Jalal and these characters might have just been written to have interactions because Jalal knows where this ancient magic is, but the main reason is to display a big part of this arc: purpose and freedom. And it seems that Jalal has lost his purpose. He lost his memory when he was brought back. That there makes him just as pitiful as Wendy. He doesn't know who he is, just that he is. He's scared. He's heard of what he's done, and he's scared of himself. He wants to die and take this ancient magic out with him because of what he's experienced. He's become weak-willed too. His moral flaw was that he hurt others, and now it's fueled his current psychological flaw: fear. And he's letting that fuel his moral flaw. The moral part is making him scared of himself, so now he has to take everything out. But the psychological part is him not letting himself come to terms with what he did, and now he can't help anyone, and is actively, indirectly hurting these people because of it. That is the beauty of this duality, but it gets even better. That fear and lack of memory takes away his purpose and takes his perceived freedom from him. As established in the Tower of Heaven, freedom was already a lie. He just had a purpose, and it was taken from him. Every member of the Oracion Seis have a different purpose as well, and that leads them to their freedom. Racer was to be the fastest. Angel wanted to ascend like an angel. Hot Eye wanted to find his brother. Cobra wanted to hear the voice of his one true friend. Midnight wanted to sleep peacefully. All of this was caused, I believe, under Jalal's reign. He is also the centerpiece for this as well. He fueled their lusts for freedom. He is their reason for their purposes, and under Brain, they could achieve it. But with what we'll get into later, their freedom is a lie. Brain is not freeing them. He's using them, much like what Jalal once said: freedom is a lie. After Wendy returns and heals Urza, let me explain something here before we go any further. Wendy and Happy were in a cave. Urza was bitten by Cobra Snake. Natsu and Carla go after Wendy and Happy to save Urza. They come back. Racer and Gray get into it. And eventually, Racer tries to kill himself, but Leon does a spear to the abdomen off a cliff and saves everyone. I cannot explain to you, but it seems Jimmy Kudo is once again my favorite character. After Wendy returns and heals Urza, and well after Racer is taken out, they try to find Urza, but because of this setback, they are too late to stop Nirvana from being revived. And because of this, Wendy loses it. She gets filled with so much self-doubt and is subsequently knocked unconscious. This is where a lot of her character peaks, because she's not just written in here to accentuate Natsu's character and be another one to be influenced by him and change towards the end of the series, but she is also a character who is made to specifically be affected by Nirvana, and this is where Nirvana is explained, and let's do it. My boy, we must dap this guy up. Mashima is so good at this now. This, as explained, is original. It is scary. It is iconic. It serves purpose in both show and tell, and actually does both at the same time, with Eve not just saying what it does, but that thing he says happening to Hot Eye and Sherry at that exact moment. Small detail, I know, but he doesn't get hit by the rule, he learned. He held back in the Phantom Lord's arc with Lisana. And again, my boy. Oh, I didn't know a person could love a writer so much. I really like the concept of Nirvana. Basically, Nirvana takes light and dark and switches the two. So if you're a more positive person and are experiencing negative emotions, you switch to the dark. If you are a more negative person and experience positive emotions, you switch to the light. This isn't just a description, but it is something that keeps the audience attracted to the story. The Oracion Seis hooked the audience, and this here is putting all on the edges of their seats. Upon my first watch of this arc, I remember thinking this was so basic until we got a lot further. You know, I like show, not tell. Well, that wasn't really the rule for me. I just liked action and nothing else. I was a Dragon Ball kid. But reading this back, it sounds so cool, and it's definitely a good way to explain a character, a plot point, a villain, or really anything. You show and tell, and explain it while that character is doing something. It's the best way to get something across to everyone. Apparently not me, because I was too stupid to be included in the rule. I was a dumb kid who was into any woman that looked even somewhat attractive, and scared of any of them who even somewhat looked at me. And now, I'm the same, but with a YouTube channel, but also a new understanding of why Nirvana was explained the way it was, and what it truly means for the characters involved. Basically nothing, because it barely comes into question after these two get their mental switched, but then again, it's something that can barely fall, if at all. Something I actually really loved within this arc is the non-stop battle spirit that all the characters have, and how it relates to Jalal and Wendy. Jalal, after he is brought back, wants to give up because of what he's learned, and what he did to his friends, or tools. He can't go on until Urza tells him. She pleads with him to please keep fighting, because he can't give up and die after everything he's done. He needs to answer for his sins, but most importantly, he does need to make up for what he's done. Everyone is clawing their way up this thing to stop it, for their own sakes, but also for the world. They're not doing this because they're going to get paid. They're doing this because they are all warriors at heart. This is what these two are. And that right there is the difference between Wendy and Jalal's weaknesses. So he needs to fight too. This inspires him to be better than who he was. But specifically, this battle spirit is what Natsu feels and what changes everyone around him. Obviously, since Natsu is the main character, but also because he is a character who doesn't change. He's meant to bring change to others, who bring other characters down a good path. But it is also meant to inspire change within the audience, to be better than who they are. If someone can fight after being beaten and broken after so much, then surely you can do something to make a change. And that is something that is outstretched to Jalal, who finally pulls himself to a better state and declares that he will help at once. Jalal relates to each of the members because everyone had their goal, much like him. They wanted one thing, true freedom. Apart from Hot Eye, who apparently just joined after their plans were set into motion, I think. I'm actually quite confused. Once again, Racer wanted to be the fastest. Angel wanted to ascend to the heavens like an angel. They all had a relation in some way to Jalal. On the other side of the coin, this is a story of two Jalals. One who was so caring that he would help a small child he's never met, and the other was a sociopath that wanted to kill everyone in his wake for true freedom and would sacrifice as many as he had needed to achieve that. It's showing us these contradictions in character to display to us, the audience, that Jalal is a man who is not what he seemed to be. We're seeing this from his perspective. We are as confused as he is, and there is something that is much bigger and better that we don't understand at this very moment. And it is honestly one of my favorite build-ups in any piece of media. And what makes it better is the fact that Jalal has no memory, so he can't tell us if it's true. So it could be that one side is right and the other is wrong, that the other side is right, that both are right, or even that neither are right. It's to make Jalal just as confused as us, and that amount of storytelling is honestly just insane to read. This Jalal, whether he be the same one from the Tower of Heaven or not, is completely different. He's trying to right his wrongs, and it shows something. He truly wasn't born evil, he was made evil, and that good still lies within him somewhere. He wants to atone, because it's the right thing to do, but it's because he now has a perceived freedom compared to before, when he didn't. It's a new start in a way, and it's a new start away from Zeref's control, much like the Oracion Seis. Natsu versus Cobra. Well, this is the first fight I've talked about, and we are about into this recording about 26 minutes. Look, hold on, how many oh Christ. 3.5. Okay, well, anyway, honestly, kicking things off strong for this battle. It is a battle in the air, fighting a guy who can hear your heart and knows where you are, while you must defeat another guy and the structure you're on before it causes mass destruction to the world. It is truly a fantastic fight, but it is one of many things. Mashima uses his advantage with building tension, but we'll get to that a little later. Oh, and the snake person has poison. Just so we get that clear. It treated them like dragons, keeping them unbound to buildings, and it works considering both are dragon slayers. It gave Natsu more than just a handicap, because his enemy uses poison dragon slaying magic. What a mouthful. Plus he can hear their hearts. Therefore, their movements. I personally love any time when the MC is handicapped, and this is no different. He must try and outsmart a guy who knows what he's thinking, and he can do it by fighting mindlessly. Admittedly, not the best fight in that regard, or, well, actually, this whole fight is not the best in my opinion, but both do bring up their own flair. Natsu quite literally, with its biggest redeeming quality being that these two fought like savages. Even after being poisoned and beaten into the ground, Natsu manages to gain enough power to...
You don't know what you're talking about! Poison dragon, quit me!
Never mind. The only thing I don't like about this fight is how Cobra was beat, but you can easily justify this to Natsu's inner voice being one of a dragon instead of his actual voice. It really felt like a tough fight, like one that he couldn't win, and he really couldn't if not for coincidence. But yeah, near perfect fight right here. Not the best, but certainly not the worst. And considering this is one of the only fights I really enjoyed in this arc so far, 7 out of 10, work things out a little more, my friend. Cobra wants to put an end to Natsu for the honor of his Dark Guild. Before he can,
your kind is done! Time for the new Dragon Slayer!
Brain stops him with a blast to the back. Jesus, who wrote that in my script? Wait, I don't have writers. Fuck! Brain tells him to stand down, and knowing that Cobra can hear thoughts, he calls him weak and pathetic. And this is not what Natsu had expected. He took out his own ally because he outlived his usefulness, with Cobra's one wish being to hear the voice of his one true friend, his snake. But it seems Brain was no friend. Rather, he was someone who used Cobra for his benefit. Now, one thing I didn't really think of, if you could have heard his inner voice from at any time. Why didn't you see this coming? I would've. There could be two different things to this. Either Mashima didn't think about this, or this all plays into it. Either Brain was just so good at hiding that from him, or Cobra could hear it from their first meeting, but since he had no purpose and no way to attain the freedom he sought out, or what he wanted, he decided to join him, which is why he wanted to hear the voice of his one true friend, who was not Brain, rather his snake. But let's again go over it, with each member having their own prayer or hope. Eraser to be the fastest, Angel to ascend like an angel, Richard to find his brother, Cobra to hear his one true friend's voice, Midnight to sleep peacefully, with the Oracion Seis directly translating to the 6 prayers. With each member having a prayer or hope, it directly translates to Jalal, who once sought heaven, but found it to be a lie. Each of the members are lost because they haven't found their true freedom, because they cannot find heaven. Their prayers have not been answered. Therefore, much like how Jalal is lost here, this lot cannot find heaven either. On the other side of things, Natsu is angry. Cobra was betrayed, though he was an enemy. He was betrayed by his own friend, and Natsu calls out Brains, saying that those who work for him out of fear are puppets. But eventually, Natsu would have no chance. At least, from what Brain says. Oh, never mind. Juras absolutely slams Brain in the action, and it truly was a decimation. Brain was defeated so simply, so why was he ever feared? He was literally no threat to anyone. Fast forward a little, Hot Eye calls for everyone to be in one area, but when they get there, the one standing there is Brain, attacking the lot and putting Jura on the ground. Jura was their strongest, but he had put himself between the blast and everyone else. Everyone is fine, but on the other side of the ancient city sits Urza, Jalal, and Midnight. Midnight is easily the biggest letdown and the second coolest of the lot. Third coolest after his defeat. Here's a basic description of how the anime handled it, and this was the best adaptation, in my opinion, out of the manga and the anime. Urza fights Midnight. Comparing anime to manga, the anime handled it way better, connecting Jalal, Urza, and the Oracion Seis all into one because they were all on the same island and enslaved at the same time. Maybe some under different eras, but enslaved nonetheless. It made for a far better connection between all of them. It was far more fluid and far more cohesive and far better, taking these people who were just villains with basic desires to characters that we know the struggles of, and who we watch try to find what they want so desperately. It is really nothing special. Fairy Tail is more hailed for its final boss battles, and not really its minor fights. This guy is nothing too good, apart from what he brings considering his background, and what he reveals is that he and the rest of the 6 were on the island during Jalal's reign, and made him into this creature who lacks anything moral. This gives reason as to why Jalal is being involved this far down the line, plus as to how they found him. Personally, love it when things get tied together, but the defeat of Midnight brings a bigger hell.
It's time for me to begin the task for which I was summoned. Yes, sir! You scum. You've done an admirable job in destroying my guild. But as its master, I am bound by my obligation to take my revenge.
This is Zero, the guildmaster of the Oracion Seis, the true reason as to why Brain had these lot in his group. Because if everyone goes down, Zero rises. And now, Zero shows Fairy Tail just exactly how weak they are.
This is bad.
And it's hopeless. Nothing can be done. Urza and Jalal come into contact with Wendy, and guess what happens? Peak fiction. And yes, it rhymes with it's just jingling keys at this point. Eve contacts the remaining lot and tells them how to beat Nirvana before it gets to Kite Shelter. But they need 6. Right now they have Jalal, Urza, Wendy, and now Ichia. But that's only 4, and Jalal can't really help. Fairy Tail is really good at building up tension. Also from the anatomy of storytelling, a way to build up tension is show a character hitting their rock bottom, their peak, bring them back down to hell, throwing them against a few rocks, and casting them back up. This is once Nirvana walks towards Kite Shelter, and everyone gets up and must fight Zero and break all the crystals at once.
Voices. If you can, please respond.
Yeah, we hear you. Natsu.
This was the greatest part of the arc. How hype it was to see everyone stand up after being beaten and battered and nearly killed. But what got the message across was just their simple words. To paraphrase from the manga, yeah, we're here. It was simply glorious. When I tell you that it actually brought me immense hope to hear that, despite them being almost dead, is an understatement. It wasn't just hope, it was glory, it was struggle, it was enrichment, and it was the best part of the Oracion Seis arc. But this doesn't just speak to every character and who they are, and where they might go in life, but it's also something that tells us a lot about Natsu's character. Natsu is not a character who is meant to change or mold into something different, like most. Remember, Lucy is more the main character from the point of view. Natsu is the main character for every other reason, though both are just as important as the other. Natsu is meant to power up others and make them better. Like I've mentioned so many times before, he is meant to be there when Wendy's hope dies, when Urza needs help, when the guild's in trouble. Natsu is there to make those around him into the best versions of themselves. He's actually comparable to Goku in that sense. He's a character who's meant to help others and guide them to the light. Perhaps people will criticize, and while they have a right and a solid reason, I personally love this way of writing. It helps make things fluid. And while this might not be a great pick for a writing option, it's not the only thing in Mashima's pocket. And now we must witness the final bout. Natsu versus Zero. This was the best display of Natsu's character up to this point. Let me tell you, this was the best way of building up tension, because it wasn't just about Natsu fighting Zero and trying to beat him in time. It was also for everyone else, to build their strengths, and to destroy each Lacrima, before Nirvana attacks Kite Shelter. Even though everyone isn't as important as Natsu, they still held so much stake in this. Or is that the case? The final stretch did many things, one of which was making sure each character is as important as the other. How? Because if one man can't destroy their assigned Lacrima, even if all but one are destroyed, the others will be repaired, and it will keep going. It built up tension, and it built up everyone with the sole responsibility to save the day. It's actually insane how far you can go with such a simple concept. But another reason as to why this final stretch was so awesome was, of course, the battle. I love this battle because A, Zero is powerful, and B, Natsu's character. On the first point, Natsu is being beaten and battered every step of the way. He is genuinely being murdered like it's Zero's side hobby, which isn't really true, because it's clearly his main hobby. Jesus Christ! I love powerful villains, and when I say powerful, I mean near unstoppable. I love Cell, I love Madara, I love Sephiroth. Why? Because of that unbeatable strength. It's, as the kids say, aura. I am so sorry I used such a word. I love this guy. Unbeatable. But it's more than just that. Strong characters in Fairy Tail are meant to challenge Natsu, because he is not meant to change. He's meant to get others to change because of his battle spirit. As I keep mentioning throughout this video and kept mentioning through my prior video, Natsu is a character who is not supposed to really change. He's meant to be the one who encourages everyone. Because as another fictional character put it, if I go down, who will the people look to? My last Fairy Tail video is also good when it comes to Natsu, but what is Natsu's one characteristic that doesn't change? His battle spirit. Time and time again, Natsu is beaten like a child by his drunk stepfather. It's clearly unclear if Natsu can even survive, let alone win, and he's clearly outmatched. But one man comes to save the day.
I'm surprised you were able to stop a piercing spell. Who's there? Jalal!
And save Natsu. Oh, or not. Or so? I don't know anymore. It was the same as the Etherion from the Tower of Heaven. It was gold fire. I love this so much. Jesus Christ! Natsu runs the 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s so much with 0 that he's essentially teaching him how to count so he gets a better name. Who am I kidding? That's actually a really cool name. Beating the hell out of this man with no stop in sight. Power spoke here. Strength spoke here. And finally, the character spoke here, making for the best arc in Fairy Tail, and making for not just Wendy's guild, but the entire world to be saved. So, after the day is saved, Wendy and everyone goes to Kite's shelter, but one thing needs to be explained. These are not just regular people. Kite Shelter is a fake guild. It's actually just inhabited by one guy who made dozens of different people. It's actually an abandoned village. Basically, Nirvana was created by Kite Shelter. It was meant to save the world, but clearly be used as a weapon, so they sealed it away. And now that it's destroyed, they have no reason to be there. And so, Wendy's world fades again. The same guild that they had tried to save was nothing more than a lie, and they fade anyway. With one character inviting her to create her new life.
A bright future awaits you. Embrace it with open arms.
Urza Scarlet. Oh, and Jalal got arrested. Well, so this is the final part of the video. One thing I did want to mention, because I really couldn't find a place to put it in this video, was that Jalal remembered Urza, but he only remembers one part of her scarlet hair. Now this could show many things, but I believe it's showing that he hasn't changed from when he was a child. Rather, he's changed the path he's walking down now. And that there is a great place to leave off. My name's Talon Talks. Thank you all for watching this video. Definitely subscribe, because I'll be finishing the entire series eventually. But you all have a good day. I'll see you next time.